blow this scene. Get everybody in the stuff together. Okay, 3, 2, 1, let's jam.
Yes, welcome after the hype. Your host is always Brian Dressel. With me, as always, is Jonathan Hardesty.
I could do the beard thing on this all day.
Chewie Darso.
Hi.
And Ryan James.
Oh, boy.
Special guest today is Graham T. Mason.
Hello.
I was really hoping you were just going to do a beard rub instead of a hello. There it is.
See, that just goes all the way into your neck. That's perfect.
Knowing Graham, it probably could go down his chest.
Yeah, yep. The whole thing just connects. And then it's going to end someplace really interesting. Graham, stop fucking our microphone.
That tickles.
Okay, so we are back from our week off. I know you guys didn't have a week off, you listeners, because we recorded two at the same time, but we haven't seen each other in a little bit of time. So we're going to do a little quick, where have you been doing? Just a quick disclaimer, I'm sure many of you are expecting John and I to talk about Mass Effect Andromeda, but we have agreed to not talk about it so we don't ruin the game for each other.
We've just embargoed ourselves.
Yes.
It was painful.
Yeah, once we are both done with it, we might talk about it at that point. But until then...
We look forward to the Iron Curtain being lifted.
Yes, we'll have to wait.
That's not the term.
I will go first, and I have a feeling Ryan might have the same thing. I've been watching Iron Fist. I'm not done with it, though. He might be. You are, right?
I am done with it.
Yeah. I will say this much about it, and I'll move along quite quickly. I think it is a decent show. I don't think it's nearly as bad as the reviews have made it out to be.
I agree.
Yeah. I mean, they are really raking it over the coals. It does not deserve that at all. But then again, I also like Batman vs Superman, so what do my tastes mean?
Says the guy who...
My motivation to watch the show really went down when he told me that What's-His-Face doesn't know any martial arts.
Yeah, he clearly doesn't. I mean, the thing is...
Finn Jones.
Yeah, Finn Jones. And the problem with it is that you can tell that he tries. Like, it felt like he was...
Yeah, but if you're watching something and be like, oh, look at him try.
Yeah, and that's
that's not a good way to watch a show.
And he gets... better, I can tell through the season. Like as the very first fight sequence is like comically bad. It feels like the beginning of Mortal Kombat when you're watching fuck is his name? Johnny Cage.
I was gonna say Luke Cage.
Yeah,
that's not right.
Oh, the character's name.
Yeah, it's Johnny Cage. Yeah, when you're watching Johnny Cage like in his fake movie fight and goes, "This is the part where you fall down." That's how the first fight feels for me in Iron Fist, where like he's barely moving, like kind of like making motions of martial arts, but like a child would near a tree, playing with like, I have friends, look at me go, hi-ya!
Let's be real, that's me.
Hi-ya!
That's me.
Yeah, and
that's
but you have all the professional stuntmen around him who are acting like they're getting hit by a martial artist. So you have him kind of faintly moving, and then everyone else like, ow! Oh God, why?
Oh,
You're so strong.
Yeah.
So what I should do is like watch this with the same mentality I watch Power Rangers.
Yeah.
The beginning, absolutely.
That would help.
Yeah.
Okay.
That's it for me. I'm not sure about Ryan.
Sure. Yeah, I wasn't going to talk about that. I went and saw Life last night, so I had something different to talk about. I loved it. Going in wanting like just another iteration, an updated, version of the like trapped alone in space with an alien story, and it delivered all of that. If you're going in expecting like some mind-blowing revelations like
Venom or
no, it's not Venom related. Turns out, if you're going expecting something like Interstellar, you're not going to get it. It's much campier than that.
Is it as good as the episode of Cowboy Bebop where they're stuck on the ship with the alien that keeps knocking them all out?
No, nothing's as good as Cowboy Bebop.
Fair point.
Well, but it's cool that this movie came out when it generally doesn't. Like this.
It is cool when movies come out.
I mean, movies come out all the time.
No, but like
but this movie has
would've-
never come out before,
they would've-
Brian.
Fair point. No, that makes sense.
They would have made a Venom movie instead. Like this is just not a Venom movie. It's its own thing. It's it's campier.
Somebody wrote an original script, yeah.
An original script, a campier sci-fi story that's not tied to anything.
Yeah.
It's like I don't see a lot of that, and
it's
I like
visually
genre
good.
like this. I like.
And you're going to continue not seeing it, seeing that it's failing horribly.
Yeah, the
Well-
thing is, a lot of people don't go to those movies
Right.
anymore.
Yeah.
Sucks.
It was probably really expensive, and I know a lot of the science was very well grounded, which is great. They had NASA doctors and scientists
that's even cooler.
on staff, so like down to the biology of the alien creature is plausible.
That's
I
cool.
really want to see this.
That sounds really good.
Yeah.
Even if it's not like even if it's not the best movie ever, it can still be good.
Absolutely.
People are way too into their hot and cold on stuff anymore.
I know.
I just want to be.
I'm not. You're wrong.
I want to be lukewarm on a thing. I just want to be okay with it.
I've done that for many things. Chewie? That was really weird timing.
I've been middle of the road on a lot of stuff. Wife.
I don't know how to feel right now.
Looks like I'm sleeping on the couch again. I was really trying to say, Chewie, it's your turn.
I've heard that before.
Have you ever
I quit.
And thank you all for joining us.
Here
Our
lies
last ever episode.
here lies
Brian is lukewarm, and it's my turn.
Hey, Chewie, where have you been doing?
I finally started watching Legion. I only got through the first episode, which is too bad because I immediately wanted to watch the rest of the series, but I had to go to bed because of work. But hey, I'm unemployed now, so woo! I get to watch it all this next week.
That's fun employed.
I'm fun employed, but so I really enjoy Legion. Like I was saying to Brian, you guys don't care. Yesterday,
No, I never care what you're talking about.
it was just the listeners. They don't care what I did yesterday.
Oh,
It makes a lot of bold choices in the design, the way they shoot it, the way they tell the story, and the sound. And it's just watching a Marvel property this is definitely not being directed by the Disney crew.
Right.
It's so refreshing. I'm just so excited to watch this.
It's Noah Hawley, isn't it? Who's running the show on that one?
Honestly, I didn't even look that up. I went in this pretty blind. All I knew that it was about Legion from the X-Men.
yeah.
And it's to me, it seems like a very ambiguous time. Like we don't really get a good idea of where what time it's set in.
Yeah.
It's just set in its own universe. Ryan's agreeing with me on everything. And it's just super refreshing. I highly recommend to see it if you haven't watched it yet, because if you've been getting bored with the way that Marvel's been going, because they've pretty much been going the same way this whole time. We have something new to watch and a new way to see the story happen, and yeah, it's I'm really enjoying it.
What am
and not enjoying all these ahas. What is this, NPR?
Yeah, maybe. One of my favorite things about it is that it doesn't remind you constantly that it's a Marvel thing. Like it could stand on its own, and once per episode, maybe they're like, "Hey, remember this term from comic books or this
Mutants!"
character?"
I
They
don't
every
even
now and then
remember.
just go, Cyclops?
Yeah,
I
right.
don't. Do you watch the first episode?
I've seen 4 now. Yeah,
I don't think they even mentioned mutants once in the first episode.
they don't really talk about it. Sometimes they'll talk about like powers, and they bring up like names and places that you recognize
but
from the Marvel
there's
universe.
no
but
allusion to
cool.
X-Men really at all.
No.
Oh,
There's
awesome.
no allusion to
No
mutants. No Gambit.
I mean, Aubrey Plaza.
There is a
Said-
deck of cards in every shot, though. But
Said
no, other than
Fox
All the,
always. No Gambit.
Okay, we'll give you a shot, but we're not going to give you any money for it
maybe they just can't find somebody to do the Cajun accent. I don't know.
because nobody's ever done that before. It's made up for the comic book.
No,
I mean,
there's
really,
real
when
Cajun
Josh Holloway
accent.
said, no, I don't want to do it, Fox just went, well, then there's nobody.
All right. I still think Channing Tatum would have been great.
I'm Channing Tatum, and I really want to do it.
And I was born there. I'm from Louisiana. I don't believe you.
Or, is your name Josh Holloway? Well, no, it's Jan. Get the fuck out!
Get out of here, Channing Tatum.
That's your review of Legion. Get out of here, Channing Tatum.
No, I
To
really.
sum it up in a couple
summation.
words.
But yeah, like I was saying, I highly recommend to watch Legion. I'm very excited to watch the rest of the series, and yeah, hot damn, it's good.
There's a pterodactyl outside.
It's been circling above overhead.
That is also in the X-Men at one point, but that's not supposed to be here. That's in the other. I forgot the name.
The Savage Land.
The Savage Lands.
Graham, what about you? What have you been doing?
So I've now finished the American Office. and
No,
now
that's not a comic book. Try again.
That's not nerdy.
But that was the thing I was talking about last time with Death Voice.
Oh, I forgot about Death Voice.
I certainly didn't. Yeah, so I finished English Office, American Office, and then now I'm moving into Parks and Rec. So now I'm in like middle of season 2.
First time?
First time.
Oh, it's so good.
Yeah,
It-
I
it,
kind
uh,
of missed a lot of these, this and like 30 Rock and all this other stuff. So
Because
Oh,
you were
yeah.
working in college while the rest of us were sitting on couches.
I was working in college.
Yeah, but like I remember like Brad and I sitting on our couch going, "This is the greatest show ever." Graham, you want to watch? And Graham's like putting on a backpack and like carrying a bunch of shit. He's like, "No, I'm gonna go shoot stuff."
I'm going to make a movie that no one will ever see, and it's really, really terrible. And I'm kind of depressed about it, but it's my job.
So I think the nice thing between those two shows, the American Office starts tapering off like maybe 5 seasons in, and then they had a couple groaners. Parks and
They had
Rec
4
stays
more
really
seasons.
strong. until just up till the very end, pretty much.
Yeah, no, I'm really enjoying. Like the first season was kind of like, okay, let's just kind of get through this.
Yeah.
I think
It's
only
really just like
6 or 8 episodes or
Yeah.
something.
And
First
really-
season
am I-
of Parks and Rec is just them figuring it out.
Yeah,
Yeah, and
totally.
it's a lot of like, well, we came over from the office, and
So let's make The Office in Indiana.
Yeah.
Right? And
yeah.
and
But
then
now
they
they
figure it
figured
out.
it out.
yeah,
I mean-
as soon as they hit season 2, right out of the gate with the marrying the gay penguins.
Yeah.
Like they just come out of the gate swinging like, oh no, we're one of the funniest shows on TV.
Yeah.
Yeah.
we just had to get that out of our system.
Yeah, no, it's
Why
it's
did you
really
do that?
funny.
Because it was cute.
It was really cute.
It was really cute.
But you're liking it?
Yeah, no, it's really funny.
That's great.
Yeah, I just I think April and Andy just got married in the last episode that I watched.
That's not season 2. You're a little bit farther on.
Pretty.
No, it's actually rather soon after they start dating. I forgot. I think
It's
April
a
and
bit-
Andy? No, they don't even get together till the end of season 2.
Maybe
You're in season 3.
3. Yeah.
Oh.
Okay. Yeah. Season 3.
Yeah.
Yeah.
We
Oh.
just watched this. So
well,
otherwise, I
I
wouldn't have
powered
it.
through it, so I lost track of which season I was on.
Yeah.
It all blends
Apparently
together
so
when
did
you
I.
watch.
Yeah. Well, that's a good show in my opinion.
Yeah.
It really connects itself each season.
Yeah.
Yeah. Yeah. So, yeah, I'm really enjoying it. It's really,
Yeah.
it's really
Yeah.
funny. It's really starting to hit its stride now.
Yeah.
So,
Yeah.
Yeah. As soon as Andy
Yeah.
becomes like a staple, it really works.
he's so funny.
Yeah. When you get done with season 4, go back and watch the bloopers.
Oh yeah.
Yeah. There's one.
He's dirty.
There's one Kim Kardashian joke that's one of the funniest things I've ever fucking heard.
I think I said.
And I don't want to spoil it for you.
It's
They're,
good.
the bloopers are so funny. They're almost funnier than the show, and that's tough to do. But you need to watch them.
Yeah. Jeez.
John, what about you? Where have you been doing? Not Mass Effect.
I had a little bit of time just to myself as Jandy and Karina were out. So I saw It Follows on Netflix.
Oh wow.
Love that movie.
It was really good. I just had I had 2 hours, 3 hours to spare just in front of the TV, and I was like, I'll watch a movie. I don't do
Yeah.
enough of that, so I threw that on, and I really enjoyed it.
Yeah,
Yeah.
I'm so happy. The past 5-6 years for horror movies have just been fantastic, and this year, the big one comes out next month. It comes at night. I'm very excited for it. It looks terrifying. Well, we should probably get started on today's battle,
No.
don't you think?
Wait, we didn't just finish.
Well, today's battle is coming in celebration-ish of the Ghost in the Shell remake.
Are we celebrating that?
I said ish.
We are recognizing it.
Yeah, we
It's
are
happening.
recognizing that it is coming out. I am so mixed on the movie. I'm definitely going to see it. I know Chewie will see it with me because I'm making her, and I think we're probably the only 2 around the table.
Not
that
making me.
Is that here today?
Yes.
The OG? There it
yes,
is.
yeah, that is
Here
on
it
the table today. Absolutely. It's interesting hearing people talk about it, including like the animators and the writers and the directors who are all on set for the entire thing, saying no, it's decent. Like we actually all approve of it. So
Decent.
yeah.
But the question is, did they all say that they had fun making it? Because there's a formula
Well,
that
they didn't make it. They just were on set a lot.
Yeah.
So
So they were just witnessing it.
But now, like,
happen
yeah,
in front of their faces.
the people who were making
The
it, did
more
they have
fun,
fun?
you have, the
worse
worse
it
the
is.
movie.
Yeah. I honestly don't know. But
Okay.
the thing is, I like Scarlett Johansson. I think she's a good lead, so I'm interested enough to watch it. So at that point, or this point, I should say, Ryan is now the host of this episode. Ryan, are you ready to be the host of this battle?
Yes.
Battle.
Judge.
Do you want me to run your timer for you? I have it right here in front of me.
Yeah.
Okay.
Well, I'm not timed.
No, you're not. I am.
I can-
And the rest of the table is.
Are you going to go first?
That's up to you.
Do you want to talk about anime real quick?
Sure. I will talk about our episode and our choices a little bit. We'll go around and just kind of say really, 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 really short what they are and why you picked them. The interesting thing about the choices around the table is that usually when we do our battles, we have a very wide array of quality to not quality, of straight up garbage sometimes.
Yeah. No, I'm very
And-
excited for
and
today.
Today, all 4 of these movies, if you look at a top 10 anime films of all time, most of these will be in the top 5. We might have
Yeah.
picked 4 out of the top 5. Like they
Yeah, I
are
think we
just
did.
heavy fucking hitters. The only one that isn't quite there is John's pick, and I think that's just because it's a little newer than the other ones. But if you look at other lists, it's still way, way up there. I mean, it's Satoshi Kon.
It's a solid choice.
I think
Yeah.
Evangelion is the only one that's not here that I would have heard of. To preface this a little bit, I I've been aware of anime since high school. For whatever reason, my high school had a Japanese program, and a bunch of my friends were in it and got really into anime. And it just never did anything for me except for Pokemon. And I'm wearing a Pikachu hat right now to represent that. I was way into it as a kid and in high school. Never cared about Dragon Ball Z, which is kind of most people's gateway anime.
Dragon Ball is way better than Dragon Ball Z, by the way. In my
Nerd!
personal opinion.
I
Dragon
didn't
Ball
know.
is
Wait, there's a
fun
difference?
and things happen.
Yeah, I'm on Graham's side with that. I have no
Guys,
idea.
Dragon Ball
guys,
Z
guys,
is
guys.
just a bunch of bros blowing up islands.
Guys, what about GT though? I mean, like, oh.
I don't know any of this. I don't know what any of this
Dragon!
means. No, I don't know what
I
that
can
means.
go get Dragon Ball for you later. And you
It's over 9,000.
I've heard that on the internet.
So you were saying, right?
In college, I did end up watching Cowboy Bebop and Samurai Champloo, the spiritual successor to it.
Yes. Which,
And
by the way, Ryan banned
I
Cowboy
banned those
Bebop.
because
Yeah.
I know
Yeah.
that they're so good, and I almost I've tried Ghost in the Shell and I've tried Evangelion, and neither one of them, and Trigun as well, and none of them hooked me in long enough to watch more than 30 minutes. So
For Ghost in the Shell, the movies or the series?
I'm not sure, to be honest with
I
you.
enjoyed the series. I liked the robots.
Series
The-
is great.
Yeah.
Little spider robots.
So
You should watch FMA. I think you'd like it.
But there's all sorts of stuff that I should watch, and that's kind of the point of the episode today.
Yeah.
But as far as animes that everyone's always told me that I should watch, they're all at the table today.
Yes. Yeah, it's going to be an interesting crop because really there are no losers today, except for the people who lose.
Right.
Except for 4 of you.
Well, three of us.
Three.
Yeah.
So you all have a very
according
long
to
road
my
ahead of
movie,
you,
there's a lot of
proving why
losers.
yours is the top of the top.
According to your movie, fucking everyone's a loser.
Yeah. Yeah.
So Ryan, I'll let you pick. Who's going first?
So it's 5 to
5 to state
Argue?
your case,
Yep.
5 to argue.
Cool. I'm gonna make a new.
Are you doing a quick intro, like naming?
Yeah,
what
yeah.
our
So
movies
yeah,
are?
that's what we're gonna do while he's getting his time ready. So I chose the 1988 classic Akira, and I chose it because it's the best anime ever made. John, what about you?
I chose the 2007 or 2006, depending on if you're looking on the internet or Netflix, Paprika, which I think is the best one because I really loved it.
It is really good.
I chose the original Ghost in the Shell because, well, it is just the best. I mean, obviously.
Did you not
And-
hear my argument a second ago?
Well, no, because I couldn't hear you over the
Over the
loudness
ghost in your
of-
show?
Yeah. It was a whisper in my ghost that told me Ghost in the Shell is the best movie ever.
So you're saying you're the ghost with the most.
Yes. Yes. Adamantly yes.
Chewie?
Well, I chose a movie that is having its 20th anniversary this year.
I already did that.
Yeah.
Whatever.
Been there, done that.
Mine already done that, yeah.
But it can't drink yet.
Well, mine just turned 20 this year. Princess Mononoke. Very good film. Has a lot of deep things to say about humanity and the planet.
It certainly does.
I think all animes do.
I don't think mine does.
No, there's some
Kinda.
anime
I'm
that's
kidding.
just
Mine has a
about
lot to
fetish.
say.
I was like,
There,
Kind-
dude, dude, there's a lot of anime that's just tits and ass. You can't say that all anime is deep.
That's called hentai.
No, dude.
Hentai?
There's
Yeah, I was
so
gonna say,
many
or
not
hentai.
non-hentai.
that's called
that's
henna,
all.
which also is a nice non-permanent tattoo.
Okay, we're gonna go in chronological order. Akira's up first. Go.
Oof. Okay, so I didn't even have my notes out. You just started my timer. Oh my god. Okay, so
You're the one who told me to go.
yeah, I didn't know.
Go.
I'm just wasting time at this point. Okay, so my movie takes place 30 years after World War III. It's a very cyberpunk, neo new world sort of thing, and it takes place in this kind of destroyed Tokyo. And it's called Neo Tokyo, and it's these group of teenage biker gangs these kids in these school, but they don't want to go to school. They don't want anything to do. They're too cool for you. And these are your main characters. And it's Kaneda and Tatsuo are the two main guys. Tatsuo is the younger of the two, and he's always kind of been the second to Kaneda. I'm going to go full American on these pronunciations because otherwise it's going to take me too long to talk about it. So Kaneda and Tatsuo. I'm very sorry, anime fans.
Canada. That's
You've literally just wasted the amount of time that it would take you to pronounce it right.
Yes. So one night while they're fighting the rival gang, the Clowns, basically Tatsuo gets in an accident with a kid who's escaped from a mental facility, and then he gets basically taken into that mental facility because he was connected to the thing, and he is unearthed to have these very, very huge, crazy powers, only rivaled by the guy who may or may not have started World War III, Akira. So they say he is the next Akira, and as he wakes up, his powers just start going fucking crazy, and he just can destroy anything at his own whim. He can do anything he wants, and it's a terrifying power. And for a guy who's always played second fiddle to the guy in charge, it becomes this whole mind game of like, no, now I'm the one in charge. And they are very tight, Canada and Tatsuo. So as they get to this point of Tatsuo starts going crazy, Canada's like, no, if anyone's going to take him out for going crazy, it's on me. So it becomes this wonderful movie of just, it's all about relationships of these two guys who basically are both orphans. They neither one had family. They had each other. But because they grew up in this gang and this sort of stuff, the one always had to listen to the other. And it just became a rift between them that like Canada didn't know was there. But Tatsuo always felt it. And now that he feels that he can do it, he just starts going drunk with power and crazy. And it becomes this kind of horrible thing to watch as you're watching the one guy being forced to kill his best friend and in turn his brother, and his brother being totally cool with it until he kind of realizes at one point that he is going nuts, and then he's basically begging Canada to kill him, and it's this horribly distraught and tough thing to watch. But beyond all of that, which is the main plot of the movie, you have really what people argue is the reason why people like anime. Like, this is the thing that brought anime to the West. It's the thing that made people really want anime in their culture. It's really what made it that big. And it's both because of the movie and the manga it came from. And it's just, the main reason is, I think, because of that heartfelt story, but it's also because it's just fucking beautiful. Like, it is one of the most well-animated films of all time. The opening sequence, both the music's great, and then you have this awesome motorcycle chase, and the way they animate it with the taillights, and I'm not sure if you've ever seen it, but as they're like flying through the streets, they have these long taillights that kind of go after them that show like how fast and cool they're moving. And it's just this like really visual and like grabbing look that I would say is far stronger than anything on the table, because it will always stand out to me. Like everything else I've kind of seen before, whereas this one, before this point, you'd never really seen it done this well or this like vibrant and like exciting, and it just like everything just kind of crackles off the screen as it's going, and it's just amazing. So you have a movie that's not only one of the best animes of all time, if not the best anime of all time, it's also one of the best sci-fi films of all time. And if you look at if you're looking at lists, which I don't necessarily always agree with, it's usually on lists of both anime and sci-fi, because it just tells this amazingly cool sci-fi story with all the stuff that in 5 minutes I can't do justice. But it has special powers. It has a group of kids that also have special powers. You have AKIRA, who went crazy, and then he got basically dismantled, and they couldn't figure out what to do with him because they basically just condense him into jars and they bury him deep underground, because like, we can't let this fucker get out again because he could destroy the planet with the blink of his eye. And the only way you can stop Tatsuo is by waking him up, which they have to do. And he just kind of shows up and he just stands there. He's like, hey, I'm going to blow up the whole city now. And he just starts blowing up the whole city because he can. And it's like, it's this like horrifying like look at like untapped power. Like what can happen if you have no restrictions on it whatsoever. And like, it even comes down to, if you watch the okay dubbing, which I think is a problem of everyone on the table today. But I will say this, you are a fan of Cowboy Bebop. The girl who does Faye does one of the voices in this.
Plain to the judge.
Hell yeah. But like I will say this before people start getting into me. The really cool thing in there is that they say the power is so great that he's basically creating a new universe on top of our own. Like, that's the amount of energy in these characters.
So they're gods.
Yeah, pretty much.
They say that. I mean, gods is kind of a big theme today.
So it sounds like a pretty badass story of two brothers who have to fight each other, and they ultimately have to wake up the stronger evil to fight the evil, and it's all like a big fucking mess.
Yeah.
It sounds pretty good.
Yeah, it's great.
How do they? I mean, a lot of times I have an issue when characters are too strong.
Did you set another timer?
Yeah, and it ends up just being like fireballs from hands shooting each other and turning into like this giant just beam of bright lights and
does
explosions.
Not happen.
Does not do that
once.
Cool.
It's more so like mind games. Like, they kind of look at each other and you can kind of see like the ripple of like force like going through the earth, like, and then hitting them. That
cool.
Sort of thing.
Classic.
Yeah, it works. And it's also like you get to see like as Tatsuo kind of goes crazy, he starts like dressing crazy because he thinks it's cool. Like,
right.
He has like this red fabric he finds. Like, I'm gonna wear a cape now, and just throws a cape on. He's like, ah, and it's very classic
Sounds
anime.
fun.
Everyone does feel cooler in a cave.
Does anyone have any arguments against Akira?
Good luck.
This is the hard part about
It's
today.
old.
Yeah, smells bad.
It's
I mean,
old.
Wait, you have smell-o-vision?
No, he's just talking about my personal DVD copy.
Yeah. I mean, it is
water
kind of
damage, something.
it is kind of rank.
It's teased me a lot with adaptations for the American audience.
I
but
think that's great. That's the one thing it can beat
a
out
big
Graham's
old
movie is that it's too tough to remake.
crap. There's not very many female characters. It's all boys.
Kai is or Kay is definitely a female character, and she's incredibly important to the story.
She's the one that ends up getting
She becomes
crushed to death, right?
No.
Wait.
Kay becomes a superhero at the end of the movie, which I just didn't have time to get in everything. Like I said, there's a lot of subplots.
It's been a long time since I actually rewatched
she
this
also
movie.
gets powers at the end of the movie, and they say
I just remember the one girl who really liked what's his face, and then he
Tatsu.
he ends up crushing her to death with his own blob of a body.
she does survive that, but yeah,
Does she?
Yeah.
Because all I remember is a squirt of blood and going, "Oh God, that's an awful way to die."
Oh, maybe she didn't survive it. I thought she did. That doesn't sound very good for her though.
It's not a good start to a relationship.
So I have a
More of
question.
an end, really.
I should have rewatched.
I know that you said this is really important to bringing anime to the Western culture, which I believe you because I think that's pretty true.
Before this,
but
we had Astro Boy.
Yeah.
yeah, how
Speed Racer.
how is this important to Japanese culture?
I mean, basically, because it is kind of a comment on like the whole getting bombed thing, and it's kind of the whole when they say that it started World War III, it's no, you bombed yourselves, and I think that's kind of I mean, I'm reading into this as an American. I could be dead wrong, but it's kind of the whole like maybe we get a little too drunk with our own power sort of thing. That's kind of a theme I took from it. Like I said, I'm very American looking at this movie, so I could be completely off. But that's kind of like the sort of thing that I got from it. Like, if you don't control yourselves, you will be basically your own end.
That's really good.
And I think that's the movie because that's Tatsu's character entirely. He cannot figure out how to control his own powers, and then by the end of the movie, he becomes literally a blob of power.
Right, and that's following in Akira's
not
footsteps.
cute.
Yeah,
right?
exactly. Yeah,
It's really gross looking.
it is horribly gross looking. And then they later copy it in South Park, and it's hilarious when it's part.
Oh, really?
I
gross.
do
Which
remember
one
that
is
episode. Yeah.
Yeah.
I don't remember which episode it is.
There's a lot of
It's the one with the Terminator in it, if you remember that. Yeah.
So you have we've got about a minute left. Anyone else have any comments on Akira?
They yell a lot.
Welcome to anime.
Do you watch it? Did you watch it?
I have to be honest.
Japanese?
I have fallen asleep watching this movie.
What?
It is long.
It
There's
is-
long.
it
There's
is
a
long.
lot- There's
That
a
is-
lot to chew on.
It's brooding. Like
But
if you're not, if you're going.
But here's my thing against that is that it is legit sci-fi, and
Yeah.
sometimes legit sci-fi can get a little boring if you watch it late at night.
Most
Like,
of the time,
Dude, when I
legit
watch
sci-fi.
anime,
Yeah.
all I want to see is flashy girls with upskirt photos and just people flying all over the place.
good
This
thing you
movie
chose
sucks.
Princess Mononoke.
I'm trying to
has
bring your
all of
movie
that.
down. I'm trying to bring your movie down.
Hey, actually, my movie does have that.
Yeah, yours does. No, my movie doesn't need that. It stands on its own. It doesn't need those bullshit anime tropes. It can be its own amazing sci-fi movie.
Big eyes and big boobs.
Yeah, it doesn't
None
need
of
any
that.
It doesn't need
well.
it.
All right, I think we're talking in circles. I'm going to cut off this last 30 seconds. You
That's
didn't
fine
use
with
it.
me.
They go onto your score at the end. Tiebreakers go to the remaining time.
Boom.
Next up, in the order, will be Ghost in the Shell. Graham.
All right. So Ghost in the Shell came out in 1995. In this, we follow Major and her crack team, Section 9. And they're like a military cyber police. And so this is obviously in the future, similar to Akira, but this is kind of a successful area. I think it's Tokyo, to be specific, but I think it's just generic town.
Set in generic town. You're off to a good start.
Generic town, Japan. I could be totally wrong with that, but anyways.
They got things written on their walls.
And yeah, so this is a pretty accurate, like the incredible thing about this and the manga and everything else about it is the incredible accuracy of this potential future. With cybernetic parts, basically people just replacing, their human parts with cybernetic parts just because they can, right? Because they have the technology. And so now you have people replacing entire cybernetic bodies and then just placing their human brains in them. And so basically they can live forever. And so now, obviously, you have, this and cybernetic brains. And so, of course, with hackers and stuff like this, you have people hacking into other people's brains and using them to, do crime. And so this is the whole plot of this and the rest of this movie and all the other movies and the rest of the series. So we follow Major in Section 9, as in this one, they're trying to follow the Puppet Master. The Puppet Master is doing exactly that. He is very well hacking people and using them to basically copy himself and just try to make a new type of being. And so throughout this entire movie, it really asks a lot of questions of what is a human soul versus what they call a ghost, right? So a ghost is that an AI? Is that artificial that actually lives inside of an artificial intelligent body, a cybernetic body? Like where is that point? How do we actually define what is alive? And so throughout the whole movie, with all the technology and all the beautiful images and and this was all hand drawn as well, and it's an incredible feat. And so yeah, I love it. So as much as we're following Section 9, we're really interested in watching Major's character, as she has this amazing character arc of like, where did she come from? Like, she is a soul in a cybernetic body. Something happened to her to where now she is now this. And so it's like, how many bodies has she had? How old is she? What is her, like, where did she come from?
So she was a human consciousness? Is that right?
We believe so, yeah. At this point, it's kind of anonymous. Her past is anonymous. And so, yeah, so it's like, we don't know how old she is, but we totally know she's great at fighting crime and killing people. And then at the end of this, she meets the Puppet Master. They actually capture the Puppet Master, and they join, right? The Puppet Master is a entirely artificial intelligent being that was created by a government, and then it broke loose and started hacking other analog people and kind of created itself. And so at the end of it, it's like, it's having this discussion with Major of like, I'm not alive, but I am. And so I'm trying to define myself and try to recreate and try to grow into something new. She's like, well, you can just clone yourself. It's like, yeah, clones are clones, but every time an analog person meets another analog person, they create something new, create a child that's different. Both of them are in that body, but it's also something new. I want to become that. So now my entire life, I've been seeking you to join you to become something new. And so in the final act, right, he hacks into her mind, and then that's basically kind of where it ends. Bato is her, I can't think, coworker, partner. And so, saves her and, puts her into a new body, which is a child's body. And so you have the final shot is of her in a child's body. It's like, I am not what I was. I am not her and I am not him, but I am something new. And then it's just her look on to the
Generic town.
Like, there's so much web to look into, and it's incredible to speak of what is possible.
So at the very end, when he goes into her brain, is she a willing participant?
She is.
Okay.
He talks her into it, right?
So he's not raping her, essentially? Raping her soul?
No,
there's consent.
Okay.
there is consent. Because that's part of her journey, too. She's like, well, what am I now? Because she's an entirely animatronic. That's not correct. Cybernetic body.
If she looked like
So
the Chuck E.
she
Cheese mouse, it would have been a different movie.
It strikes me that
She can't have children, right? She can't reproduce analog anymore. And so now she has to become something new. So how does she do that? And so now with him, they can now become something way bigger.
it strikes me that it kind of does something that her riffs on at the very end when Scarlett Johansson transcends the consciousness and becomes the new thing with him. So it's got inspiration that catches across different genres and different filmmakers.
That's why she's in the remake.
Yeah.
It's a crossover. Oh my god.
I wish movies would actually do that.
I think my
hilarious.
biggest gripe is maybe more just nitpicky, is that this doesn't feel complete of an experience. It asks the questions, kind of gets you there, and then by the end, I know that there's more. So it's like there's more exploration of it, but it doesn't feel like that. It doesn't feel like it stands on its own as much as some of the other ideas. That like there's still more to explore, and that exploration is a little bit more interesting. It seems like the problem, because I've only seen this one, so like I didn't continue. So
what
it's
else
like,
is there?
Sure.
It seems like there's more.
There's a TV show and
There's
2 other
another-
movies,
yeah.
and
they're all like in continuity.
kind of.
Okay.
Yeah. So the movies are kind of, it's all the same universe. It's
Right.
all the same
Yeah.
characters, all the same everything, but the plots are a little different.
Yeah,
So
like,
they'll
Like
chase the
Major's in
puppet
all of
master.
like
Yeah.
5 minutes of part 2, like maybe even 5 minutes.
Yeah. Well, they're searching her for the whole time.
Yeah.
'Cause in the continuation of this, we have no idea where she goes from here.
Major is Scarlett Johansson, the
Yes.
female.
Yeah.
Okay.
Yes. But in the TV show, it's her fighting crime.
Uh-huh.
And so they're all chasing different characters who are basically just cyber hacking people and different
Different
crime
levels of
genres.
intensity too. Like the TV show is a lot more lighthearted.
lighthearted bits, but it gets pretty nuts. Was it Second Gig? No, Standalone Complex. Like the Tachikomas are really hilarious and fun.
Yeah, that's what
The
I.
little robots.
That's what I like. They're cute. Little spiders.
But the Laughing Man is quite intense, and the individual 11 are intense as well. It's just people who are so inclined and so throwing their lives into just the destruction of everything, and just to prove a point. But the whole thing, the overlying thing throughout all of it is, what is consciousness? What is a soul? What is a ghost? What is artificial and what is analog? What is real? What is life? And so I agree with you that it doesn't feel finished, because I don't think we can ever finish that idea or that conversation. But I think it definitely stands by itself.
Now, for the longest time, I'd only seen the movie 2. Unlike John, I eventually kind of sought some of it out, mostly because I lived with you and you told me to. But I still agree, like, when you look at the movie as a whole, I think John's right. I don't think I see what you're saying, where you say like you can never finish the conversation, because once you did, what's the fucking point?
And you die.
Yeah. My problem with the movie is, though, that I feel like even though it sets up these questions that are intentionally unanswerable, I don't feel it finishes its story as well as it could have. Because it's not that it's anticlimactic. It's very climatic and it has a very solid ending. But because the ending is just sort of like, yeah, let's just team up and hang out. It feels like, okay, so that wasn't the end of the story then.
Well, I mean, Section 9 still exists, but like she goes off into like her own discovery of what the whole thing is as this new
Yeah,
being.
but it kind of robs you of closure, of like you expected to get something for her and instead you just lose her, but it doesn't feel like you lost her. So it's just this really kind of ambiguous,
It's kind of missing
sort of anti-end.
The way we're talking about this right now, and the questions it proposes, and how you lose yourself when you create something new at the very end, it kind of sounds like teenagers, where they're like, oh, what is life? Oh, it's so complex. Oh, growing up is so weird. I don't know if I like it.
That is
Who
kinda-
am I?
that is
Who
also-
am I? Oh, I
Yeah.
guess I should grow up and have some kids and settle down.
Yeah, that is also kind of the problem I have with the movies. That this is really big with like high schoolers are like, this is the most heady thing I've ever seen. It's like, chill out, dudes. It's very good. Don't get me wrong, but it's like you guys are acting like this is like,
and yeah, it's
You're gonna
You're
cool
acting like
on
this is
it when
Akira
you're-
or something.
when you're in
it's
your
no
30s
Akira.
and you have to just worry about paychecks.
Well,
You're gonna-
and to be fair, the questions it raises are interesting, but it almost seems like it never makes a something, like it never makes a statement or a thesis about it that I can either disagree with or agree with. It's just like, oh, good question, and
I see.
yeah. So it feels like it's lacking that punctuation.
I think that statement's in there.
Speaking of punctuation.
Yeah, that statement's definitely in there when you look at it as a mass of like a media story,
Yeah.
but from just the standalone movie. I agree.
The second series is called Standalone Complex.
There you go.
Interesting.
All right. Next in the order, Princess Nikki.
Manana.
Mononoke.
Da-na-na-na.
Oh, and my timer started.
We're doing
Every
this
time this works on you.
We're doing this intentionally.
Princess Mononoke. It is a story set in feudal Japan. I love how you guys, whenever I do
thought I
that, you
was
guys always
American.
laugh so much.
I love it. That's why. I love it.
It's so good.
I mean, generic town is better.
Our main character is
Solid
Ashitaka.
start.
The movie starts in a small secluded town. and there's just something ominous coming towards the town. I'm really bad at saying that word every time I say it. Ominous. But
Phenomena.
so then we're brought to Ashitaka with his gazelle, because I don't remember what it's actually called. And they're like, what the heck's coming towards us? This feels really bad. And then it turns out it is a boar that has turned into a demon because of its rage towards humanity. And it's coming to destroy their town. And immediately you're throwing this gooey, slithery, disgusting looking thing is thrown at you that you're just repulsed by immediately. And then he has got to fight it and defeat it and save his town. He does that, but by doing that, he gets cursed. And so then he's kind of like disowned from his town because he has to leave because he's cursed. And even though he's that town's prince, so they're really depressed. And then he goes on his journey to figure out to meet the forest spirit. The only way to get rid of the curse is to meet the forest spirit. So he goes to do that, and to do that, he runs into Irontown. And then he kind of jumps into this entire epic between man and earth. So it's all these gods versus Irontown, which is trying to rape the earth for its resources and kill all the gods off. So in a weird way, it's really applicable to our time right now, where Irontown is the conservatives, the earth and all the gods are the liberals with Princess Mononoke, and Ashitaka is kind of like the moderate in the middle going, guys, y'all just need to get along and stop fucking everything up.
So Princess Mononoke is Bernie Sanders?
There's enough for all of us.
Feel the Mononoke.
Well, Princess Mononoke is raised by the wolf god. Mora.
Tell me why it's good.
There you go.
Well, it's fantastic because it's beautiful, and it's all about the selfishness of man and how they're just like totally just trying to trailblaze forward and be like, this is good for us and it's making us rich and we're totally better off this way. But they're destroying everything around them in order to do that. They're killing lives, like just the lives of the forest. They're killing gods, and they feel totally like self-assured about this. They think that this is what they deserve. This is what they should be doing. And it's just obscene to watch it happening. And then to watch like the entire sequence when the other boar tribe comes to try to stop them, and they just go right into it even though they know it's a trap, thinking that maybe if we just charge ahead as hard as we possibly can, we'll win. And then they don't. And it's incredibly depressing the entire time. And the ending's kind of ambiguous, where they might have all gotten together and been okay, but they killed multiple gods. They might have actually killed a forest spirit. You're not sure. The sequence when the forest spirit loses its head is just, if you were a young child, it would be like watching The Nothing in Neverending Story and just being terrified to your core.
It's so much scarier than The Nothing.
Yeah, because it's just like this blob of darkness coming at you. It's destroying everything in its path. And it's just like, all you need to do is give back its head, which is just an allegory of stop raping the earth of its resources. Just stop, and everything will be better. And just, that's the entire message of the movie. And it's really open-ended in the way at the end where you don't know if a lady... crap, I didn't even talk about her character.
Runs
Irontown. I am requiring too much help in this episode. I'm sorry. Lady Iboshi, whether or not she learned her lessons or not.
My first question is why it has Gillian Anderson, Claire Danes, Minnie Driver, and Billy Bob Thornton on the cover.
Well, that's because that's the dubbed version, the Americans.
They got a bunch of like huge names.
Miyazaki still does that. The Miyazaki movies usually have the best voice dubbing casts. Like they do a very good job.
The thing about Princess Mononoke, which I didn't bring into, is after we had Akira and Ghost in the Shell and everyone had their cool cyberpunk phase in the 90s, anime really kind of fell off America's radar.
Yeah.
And then this movie came out. It was the most successful movie in 1997 in Japan, and it made the most money until Titanic came out, and then Titanic kicked it down. But it took Titanic to kick this movie down in Japan. And so they brought it over to America, and I mean, at the time, it was only, it got noticed. It didn't get an amazing applause.
I mean, it got a theater run.
It got a theater run, which a lot of them don't. It was considered for awards. and it was one of the ones that did really, really well on DVD rentals. And it kind of opened the door for things like Spirited Away and Paprika and such to come into American lives. And
Miyazaki still definitely gets theater runs too.
Yeah.
Studio Ghibli wasn't really even a household name in America until this movie came out.
Yeah. I still don't think it's necessarily a household name, but people know
But
it.
in the way that something from Japan, a production
Yes,
company
absolutely,
from Japan becomes
yeah.
a household name, this movie made it happen.
So to condemn this movie a little bit, condemn seems like a strong word, but my biggest thing with
Conservatives aren't that bad. Okay?
Yeah.
They're just killing everything to be like, no, we need to make more iron because it gets us money. That's not the conservatives. Coal mines?
My biggest problem with this movie is that Miyazaki, God bless him, he is a very much a positive person. He can see a lot of negativity in the world and want to comment on it, but he's also very much into being positive and uplifting and quirky and whimsical, and all that's great on the movie's aspect, but it leads to this movie that gives you no payoff. Like, there's no ramifications for anyone in this movie. All these people who do these horrible things throughout the entire thing, at the end of it, they're just like, oh, hey, go find Ashitaka for me. I need to go tell him thanks. Like, I feel a lot better now.
Lady Eboshi loses her arm.
Yeah, but she's totally cool with that. She has no problems with that. She, at the end of it, she just wants to thank Ashitaka for going, oh, I guess you were right about the whole forest thing.
Tis but a scratch.
And fucking, like, Billy Bob Thornton's character, I forget his actual name, he's the guy who started the whole thing. He started the whole, like, we need to go kill the forest spirit because my boss says if I do it, he can become immortal and then I'll be great. At the end of the movie, he's like, well, I guess I quit. I just can't fight with these forest people. Nobody does shit to him. He just quits and goes, you guys win. Bye. And
well, we only see, like, the 10 minutes post-battle sequence, which everyone is always, at the end of a battle like that, always has that little settle time. I'm sure there's ramifications afterwards. Everyone's just cooling down from the adrenaline.
I did not feel like that was coming at all because Ashitaka is so everyone is cool, man. Like you could. Like, if Ashitaka had, like, a bowl in every scene...
Ashitaka's not a hippie.
He's totally a hippie. He's
not a hippie.
He's a warrior hippie, but he's definitely just like, hey, man, just love everyone. He just yells it from far away. Instead of just being like...
He's trying to make sure that everyone's okay. He's not a hippie.
That's so hip. Just like, everyone just, hey, man, just respect the trees and respect the people. But he just says it from far away going... Yeah, do it! Because every line in his movie is screamed. Like... Where are the walls? They're right next to you. Okay, thanks.
Brian, our neighbors hate you right now.
They always hate me. But that's the whole movie. Like, he's standing right next to people going, I want the trees to feel better. Yeah, toast.
Guess what? That is like the liberals and the conservatives.
It's like, calm down, Ashitaka. You're going to lose your voice.
We're always screaming at each other. I mean, that's the only way you can get anyone to listen sometimes.
But no one listens to him. Which, I mean, I guess if he's just standing there ripping his hair out the whole movie, like, I've been screaming at everyone and no one's listening, I'd buy it a little bit more.
So maybe that's Bernie Sanders.
Yeah. And it even has, like, the whole thing at the end of the movie, like, during the whole action sequence, where he's like, we need to get over there! And the guy's like, I can't swim. He's like, walk across the bottom! And it's like, that wouldn't work either, but...
It's very motivational. It's like, you can do it.
He is very like, I think and I do it.
Ashitaka would be a great motivational speaker.
No, he'd be so loud.
He'd be so good. He'd really get his things across.
Living in a van down by the river.
But that is my biggest problem with the movies. I don't like that there's no ramifications for anyone except for the forest. The only person who gets fucked over in this whole thing are the people that are trying not to fuck over.
So it is like Congress. And then the forest is the American people.
Yeah, so I don't want to watch the real world that depressingly in my escapism Miyazaki fantasy whimsical movie.
Beautiful.
Yeah, if I want to watch
it's
that,
a beautiful movie.
Watch My Neighbor
Is Totoro. When if you've never seen it, the part when the spirit god or the forest spirit comes out the first time and heals Ashitaka from his abdomen wound is magical. Like, it's quiet, it's serene, it glows on the screen. Like, the introduction, it's so gentle, which is a lot of the things in these movies aren't very gentle, and has the calm.
AKIRA's totally gentle.
It's the longest movie at the table. Is it as boring as the other ones?
No, it's not boring.
By boring, I mean slow.
All right,
but.
I'm just going to attribute all of your
all of
to
them
your
are kind of slow and
penises,
boring.
okay?
Why?
I don't know, because I want to.
I didn't look at my penis and go,
You're like, because it's...
I think that's it.
It's got the most female characters on the board.
That's a good closing argument. Last but not least, John, your timer has started with Paprika.
All right.
Yeah, you have the lead, but
Yeah. Are you
quantity
guys quite finished?
Go, 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 go.
So my movie is Paprika, and it is about sharing dreams. And the plot is that therapists have a way to share dreams with their patients to get at the root of what's bothering them, kind of solve their issues, work it through. And so the most popular of those is a sprite named Paprika. And so she helps this.
She's a therapist?
Yeah. So there's a person who got kind of a dream alter ego named Paprika. So she helps.
Okay.
She helps people, and it starts with her helping this police detective who's having some trouble. He's always in this long hallway with a victim, and he's trying to chase this person the perpetrator. He can never quite seem to catch him, and it bothers him so much. And in the beginning, there's this interesting thing where they kind of dream hop and kind of deal with all these things. So he's got versions of himself coming after him. He's suddenly in a James Bond movie, and he's suddenly he's crossing into these other movies. And it's I think what's fascinating about this is the way it actually plays with American pop culture. It communicates with it, where everything is like we're bringing anime over. What I found interesting was this one is actually like talking to American movies. It was talking to American cinema, and has a fun dialogue. The thing that I love about it, because all these movies have this message, this kind of either they raise a question or they have an idea, and I like that this is kind of a weird allegory for growing up, and even down to the very end of the movie, after all this craziness happens, the last line is "One adult, please," and it's like the movie is that he's going to see is called Kids Dreaming. So it really plays around with dreams and cinema and all that sort of thing in a way that really works for me. The very opening, I think, is probably the strongest thing in this movie versus the other movies, in that it plays with visual trickery. So the Paprika, since she's in dreams, she can bounce around. There's a scene where, she's driving by a truck with a logo on it, with a girl on a rocket. She becomes that girl on the rocket and flies out. She's in a restaurant and is getting kind of propositioned by some random dudes, and you see her kind of feigning interest, but then all her reflections in the glass behind her are all her different reactions, and they're leaving. They're having none of it. So she escapes and jumps into a guy's shirt that has a picture of just somebody standing there. So she jumps into that, and now we're in a new frame. So this movie plays with framing, animation, and filmmaking, and it does so in a very interesting way. And just the idea of dreams as not such the main plot has this device called the DC Mini that allows you to go into the dreams, but it's more so about that dreams are a shared space and that you can jump into it. The main plot is that someone gets a hold of this DC Mini and starts hacking the other dreams. He starts spreading into the other dreams, and that's part of the central mystery, which is interesting. It's fine, but what's I think kind of cool about that is that it becomes more heady. As the dream starts invading everyone else, there's this thought of shared consciousness going on. It's kind of depicted by this ongoing parade, this parade of craziness, and it's even got some wacky things. There is a scene in this dream parade where a bunch of schoolgirls with cell phone heads walk up and they're they lift their skirt and they're dudes with cell phone faces and they take the upskirt shot. It's playing with a lot of these visual things and tropes and kind of twisting them and subverting them in interesting ways, but it's very whimsical too. There's a scene they're being chased by a giant, I'm not sure if it's right, a geisha doll, but a giant doll that's screeching at them, tearing through the building. And so their way of escape is jumping through the TV, and then on the other side they're jumping out of the newscaster's camera. And it's a visual treat. The whole movie is this visual treat, but it's playing with dreams and almost this struggle to grow up. And I think that what caught me when watching this was just that very aspect. Is there's a lot of creepy, painful imagery. That it's a lot of strife and struggle. And even the detective, in his own way, goes through it, and he discovers that it wasn't really a person who was murdered that he was shooting. He lost a friendship over time, and his friend died. And the scene he was playing it over his head was actually a movie he shot because he loved movies, and he couldn't quite figure it out. All these dreams had these movie references, and here he wanted to be a filmmaker, but he had so much of that packed away. And there's this theme of loss, or I don't know what study it is, but men tend to let relationships lapse, and go away. Like, you just stop being friends. It just goes away, and you kind of forget what you had. And I just like that it all kind of culminates into him growing up, and I love it. It is my favorite out of the bunch, and I can't stop thinking about it.
So
Which
you have seen all these?
Yeah.
And this one, can you tell me more about the cultural impact and the relevance of the growing up themes and the themes of the movie?
Well, a lot of my issue today with like nostalgia leading the way is a lot of my frustration can stem from that it feels like we are stunted is too harsh of a word, but we're still very pulled into this idea that we just want what we remembered. We want that magic back. And it becomes like just repetition, this lullaby, and it feels like we're at war with it. Mm-hmm. And there's a lot of that imagery that feels familiar. You're dancing between safe imagery, stuff that you remember, stuff that feels good, but then it twists and becomes grotesque. Mm-hmm. Like, it manifests in the villain in this giant Titan-esque monster that just, he is nightmare. And like, all these elements start to come together and fuse. And, it becomes hard to tell what's real and what's not. But it also, it's hard to tell what you like because it's just what you remember. Mm-hmm. So, like, is it a space movie that is, Guardians of the Galaxy? Do you like that, or is it something that you just like how that made you feel, and you're wrestling with that? And I just like that extra element.
I'm chomping at the bit here.
How
Can
do
I
you
go
guys
yet?
not shit on John all the time?
Okay.
You let him go. Wow.
Yeah, I'm just trying to be polite and let him go.
Why
The
are
end
you
of
polite?
this movie is the end of this movie is fucking terrible, and I love this movie. I love this movie. The ending is fucking horrible.
I mean,
it's the
they're
curse
raped.
your sudden but inevitable betrayal. Like, the beginning of the movie is like, here's this guy who is so clearly the bad guy. And then at the end of the movie, they reveal that he's the bad guy. Everyone's like, what? Chairman? No way, you're the bad guy. And it's like, come the fuck on. And that's like, it's so annoying for me because the rest of this movie's so good that the ending is being as bad as it is ruins the entire experience.
Yeah, and then you actually visually watch the main character get raped physically and psychically.
Yeah, like psychically raped. Like the way he pushes his hand, and like he could have he rips her out of the Paprika persona, and the way that he does it is by jamming his fist into her crotch, and then
it's
ripping.
traumatic.
It's brutal. And the thing is,
it's meant to be. I'm sure
it is, and that is Satoshi Kon over and over and over. I mean, that is he pushes your boundaries, and that's why I love Satoshi Kon more than Miyazaki, which I know is kind of a hard thing to say in a lot of crowds. But he does amazing things, or did amazing things. R.I.P. buddy. And this was his swan song, which was really very sad. But it's the long and the short of it is that like all of his movies, out of all of them, I honestly think this might be the visually his best, but it's story and thematically his worst. Like,
didn't you pick this for John?
John said he hadn't seen it, and I blame this movie for not liking. I blame this movie for my severe hate of Christopher Nolan. Because this came out before Inception, and then watching this, and then watching Inception is like, no, that's how you do dreams.
Yeah.
What is this
Paprika
bullshit?
is better than
Interesting.
Inception.
It is extremely visual, but I agree.
No,
it's
it
like
is,
the plot kind of gives it.
Oh yeah, the movie visually is one of the best. It's one of the best animes ever made. I can't argue with it.
And it's hand drawn.
Yeah, and it's
Still hand drawn.
Oh yeah,
whatever, 2006 or 2007.
Just unbelievably beautiful movie, and it is. He's right. It just crackles off the screen. It's so great.
But I just wasn't ready for like that amount of energy that I got in the very beginning. I was taken back.
Yeah, it's all there, and that's why I recommend this movie to everybody. But when it comes to the movies on the table, while you'll see all of ours in the top 10 and his sometimes either like 9 or 10 or out of the top 10, it's because of that ending.
Yeah. And
the
it's
ending
one of those
is
movies,
so weak.
And it's one of those movies that is advertised inappropriately. Where when you look at the stuff for it, like the cover or any of the trailers or whatnot, you're like, this is a great movie to watch with family and friends.
Nope.
And then you get to the ending and you're like, go get the kids out of here.
Yeah. They really pitch it like it's going to be a party. Like,
Yeah.
check it out, how much
It's
fun
so
has it been?
whimsical.
Dreams.
And
then-
that
Even the DVD menu was like, what is this parade thing? And music, like,
Yeah.
I wasn't expecting. Oh my god.
yeah, like
The music
Get the
too.
kids
Like even the
outta
trailer
here.
is like.
And I think
You're
with
like,
those
wow.
elements, I do agree that those are weak. And I feel like if it didn't have that tag, that tag with the detective, the stuff kind of post that plot, it would have been a lot hard. It would have been a lot harder for me to get into.
Yeah.
So instead, I'm remembering just that last moment in the opening moment. Like,
See, and the last moment for me
How much
just
time do we have left on this?
It
Okay.
rings false for me against the rest of the movie because it really it puts more importance on him for the movie when I still don't think it's his story. It is the woman's story. It's both her and Paprika, and her learning she doesn't need to be Paprika and she needs to be her own person.
Yeah.
And by giving him the last beat, I think robs her of what she deserved for the ending of that film.
Totally.
That definitely. And there's also a decent amount of fat shaming in this movie.
I didn't think that was fat shaming because the fact that she grows to love him in the end, there's
she
fat
grows to
shaming in
love
the
him
beginning.
despite his
she
fat.
realizes that she was wrong for fat shaming him.
Yeah.
But
I
fat people
and I
get
like-
stuck
I
in
totally forgot about
elevators.
that
Yeah,
friendship.
yeah.
And
That's she learns that she was wrong. I think that's
No, I
there
learned
is
that. I
definitely
know that.
yeah.
But before that,
Yeah, there is definitely fat shaming, but I think that's kind of like her growing up and realizing that she's like, no, I need to love people for who they are because if I want people to love me for who I am, I need to do the same for them. Yeah. So there's some.
but that's a lesson that is easily overshadowed by the other things.
Oh yeah, there's some really great things in here, but for me, it's just those little moments at the end. Why this didn't win or wasn't even nominated for Best Animated Feature? Like those are those issues. No.
Well, that and because they're not going to nominate it at the Oscars because they don't want the kids to go watch it afterwards.
Yeah. Poor Satoshi Kon.
All right, so I have some final notes here. I'm just going to go back around the table and talk about everything. It sounds like Paprika is visually amazing, still hand-drawn, really fun in playing with dreams and those thematics. It sounds like Princess Mononoke has a really good message about the Earth and the environment. Unfortunately, I'm really turned off by this super huge American cast, as I always am in anime.
Then don't watch it dubbed.
Okay. Their names
It's
are
very
on the
simple.
front of the box, which is to sell boxes. Ghost in the Shell sounds like a super awesome, deep sci-fi about the questioning humanity and what is human and how AI and the brain is going to play together in the future, which are themes that I love.
Yeah, we might have just spoiled that movie, the new one coming out for everyone who listens to our show.
I mean, if they haven't seen Ghost in the Shell by now, really.
Well, the people who skip that and are going to see the Scarlett Johansson one just got a really rude awakening.
We don't know how much they changed it.
I don't know the fidelity of
Yeah.
this to that. So
AKIRA sounds like an amazing piece of artwork as well, as far as kind of classic anime and kind of the pioneer of the styles of like these super huge epic powery battles, which is kind of one of the things that still turned me off about it, but you did manage to kind of calm my fears about it. And
You don't like super power battles?
I think they get overdone, but
you love Marvel movies.
yeah, and they're way overdone in all Marvel too.
Okay.
But the fact of the matter at the end of the day is that you guys all were able to come up with kind of some negatives about most people's movies, and really hit on the endings a lot. And it doesn't sound like many of them did it well. It sounds like AKIRA overall was the best anime.
Boom shakalaka.
I cut it off with 30
I'm going
seconds
to
left where
feign
no
surprise.
one could shit on AKIRA. So, I mean, Brian's the only one who didn't have to defend his ending.
That's true, because it's got a great ending.
because I was asleep, I fell asleep.
You
don't
should have
remember.
said that when we were arguing about AKIRA.
You said it after the
I
timer
mean,
was done.
all cards on the
damn it.
table. I knew Akira was going to win.
I mean, I think
because
anyone
it's
listening
Akira.
today goes, "Well, yeah, it's Akira."
Except me, I had no
Anyone
idea.
that knows
I've never
anything
seen
about
any of them.
anime.
Well, when we pick it in our group chat, I'm like, well, that one's got my vote if I were judge.
Yeah,
I mean,
that was the thing. Is when Ryan said we're trying to stay away from just like all picking the same director, because
Right.
my gut choice was Perfect Blue by Satoshi Kon, which is arguably one of my favorite movies of all time. Not just anime related, just movies.
And if you want to see the American adaptation, Black Swan.
Yeah. But the movie's just fantastic. But when he said that, I'm like, all right, well, then fuck it, I'll win.
But seriously, this sounds like every movie at the table is far and away worth watching and better than our usual battle.
this was a fun
choices.
thing
yeah.
to
Oh yeah,
prepare
I
for.
mean, my bashing of the end of Paprika aside, like the movie is still phenomenal.
Oh, you should definitely see it.
I'm still like
I
I
wanna
can't
watch all of
I
them.
can't
It's our
get,
job to bash, so we
Yeah,
have to
yeah.
bash.
I can't get it out of my head.
Yeah,
That's the biggest thing I've been trying to wrestle with. I
Oh,
can't
that
stop.
soundtrack is going to stay in your head.
Oh yeah.
I
you
used to
didn't
listen
mention
to
the
that
soundtrack?
sound.
Oh,
Oh, the
yeah.
soundtrack of Paprika. I used to listen to that on repeat on the train in Chicago.
I told you that Cowboy Bebop is the only anime I'll ever watch, and you didn't mention the soundtrack.
Well, I think Cowboy Bebop still wins
Yeah.
the soundtrack thing.
Yeah,
So
of course.
But even if you had left that one on the table, I still would pick the movie. The movie isn't my favorite.
No, that's why I was like,
That's the hard
oh,
thing
why
about
didn't you
the-
pick out?
the fact
I was
that
like,
it's a
well, the
movie.
movie.
Yeah.
Yeah.
It's not bad. It's just not.
If we were to do series, I would still pick Ghost in the Shell.
see, Cowboy
yeah,
Bebop
think
the
it
movie is like New Game Plus. You're like,
Yeah.
okay, what more can you get? It's
Yeah.
it's more Bebop. Okay,
Yeah.
fine.
I mean, I like more Bebop.
A little B to your bop.
Yeah.
I didn't think we were specifically sticking to movies either.
We weren't going to, and then it just kind of became easier.
It's very difficult to talk about an entire series of any anime,
But
especially
I like
FML or something. That's
I like these.
If you wanted to do a whole podcast on
Dragon Ball.
Inuyasha, I am there.
I like
Pokemon.
that in this battle and some other ones, you really want to watch all these ones.
Yeah,
like
me
these
too.
these were great to watch, and I loved watching every one of them. And that's why it was hard to kind of shit on each of these.
Yeah,
because it's just like I was able to forgive almost all these shortcomings in certain areas, and I was like, I don't care. They're such a visual treat, and they're all strong on thematics in a way that anime is amazing for.
Yeah. And honestly, like, even though we did just tell you basically everything in all these movies, I can tell you just based on the artistic value alone, they're all still totally worth watching. Like, even if you know the ending of Paprika's a little subpar, like, I might have even oversold it a little bit.
Hey, if anything, we saved some people from watching it with their kids.
Yeah.
True.
That's like going to see Jarvis because you really liked What Does the Fox Say, and then realizing all their other music is like, oh no.
Yeah, I lent that movie to a friend of mine at work, which is why we didn't have it on the table today. And he's like, "Oh, can I watch it with my kids?" I'm like, "No."
No.
I was definitely not expecting that in Paprika, so I was very much like oh my god.
Yeah, when you look at the advertisement of that movie and it's just rated R. Wait, what?
I was like, oh, okay, fine, some strong visual. Oh, that's really strong.
Strong.
Yeah. Oh.
Okay, but as much as we can sit here and talk about the movies we just talked about all day, we need to bring this thing to a close. So I will finish up with a very quick round of plugs. You can find us at athpod.com, ATH_podcast on Twitter, ATH Podcast everywhere else in the world. Email us at athpodcast@gmail.com. Tell us what you thought of today's episode. Rate and review us on iTunes.
We've done a new one. We have a Twitch channel now.
Oh, we also do have a Twitch channel.
Twitch.tv/ATH Podcast.
Yeah, we don't have a lot of stuff on there right now. We have the thing that Graham shot for us last time, which is us running the San Francisco Marathon in Watch Dogs 2.
Yeah.
I think all of 10 people have watched it so far,
yeah.
but I actually think it's pretty fun.
I've watched it like 10 times because I edited it.
How exciting.
We have John did a whole video of him creating our Beauty and the Beast banner, which was a lot of fun, and too bad the comments didn't save because all I did was log on to make fun of his.
I think they do. I think you might have put enough on there because they have chat replay.
Yeah,
which,
it's a lot of boo, you suck, and then just hey Brian.
and I would have done it for our Power Rangers episode, but at the same time, Jandy, my wife, was playing Mass Effect Andromeda, and it was loud.
Yeah.
So I didn't want to be spoilerific while I was doing something else, so I just kept that one to myself. I'll probably do more of it though. It was fun. It was fun to just draw for an audience of one.
So, and then today, right after we're done recording this, we're doing our next thing, which is a Let's Play of watching Ryan do so good at Demon's Souls.
Oh, wait. Ryan's the one that's playing?
Ryan is the one that's
Oh, I'm way more interested in sticking around now.
I might step in for him if he requires it or asks it to move the plot forward a little bit.
Should we lay out all of our pillows in front of Ryan and be like, choose your screaming pillow?
I only have one PS3 controller left. If he breaks his PS3 controller, I'll be very upset.
No,
I was about to ask if you have bubble wrap.
pillow, and then we have the other big pillows to put around the floor around him, so when he wants to inevitably throw his controller.
We can discuss
Do you have a
this.
pillow that can go over your television?
Right. Clear pillow.
Yeah.
This is gonna be good.
We can give him lifelines. You get one use of Brian, one use of John.
Oh, you can use a Chewie as well. It won't go well. But
I'm just gonna stand in the corner laughing at him the whole time.
What's this gaping hole? I'm gonna jump into it.
The thing on the ground told me there's treasure ahead.
Hey Ryan, you died again.
Jump on their heads, Ryan. Jump on their heads.
Jump on their heads.
Okay, so with that, I'm gonna say
thanks again
to Graham for coming out for this one.
Oh yes.
And bye.
Grenada!